These are sponsors for 8 Limbs Us, Knock Muay Nation, and Onyx MMA in Singapore. And this fight was against Mintza por Somingdam at Tepesit Stadium here in Pattaya. And that's my friend Ying there on the right. She's a very well-known cinematographer in Thailand, and I've known her for probably about 6 years now. We met when we were both shooting the retirement fight of Crew Nat Foos in New York. And I really like Ying. Her movies are incredible. Her eye is incredible. And she's been filming me on and off for about 6 years now. So she's definitely been present and part of my Muay Thai journey. When I first moved to Thailand, she had friends come and make sure that I knew where I was and what I was doing. So it was pretty cool to have her at this fight again. We haven't seen each other in over a year. So to have her there, I was a little bit nervous to see her, or to have her see my fights after so long. And then on top of that, this was a little bit of an odd fight in that I thought I was going to be rematching Rungnapa Pornongpet, who I fought a few times now and is my size. And then 2 days before the fight, Pinu was like, apparently Rungnapa's not been training, so you're going to be fighting this 55-kilo girl. And Pinu has never put me in with someone that big before. He had serious problems with me fighting people even at my regular walking around weight for a long time. So, one, that's awesome that he believes in me now to be able to give me fighters bigger than myself. But two, 55 is big, man. So I wasn't sure if she would actually be that size or if he was exaggerating or whatever. And so when I saw her before the fight, I'm not great at gauging size from a distance. And so I was looking at her and I'm like, well, you know, maybe she's like 52, 53. And then we got in the ring and you can see us walking there together. She was definitely at least 55. She was big. But so I felt like in this fight I had a couple of things to prove. One was wanting to do well because I hadn't seen Ying in a long time, and the other one was wanting to do well because this was the first time that Pinu had put me in against someone larger than I normally go against, even against the people who are bigger than me. But I don't think I felt a lot of pressure. It was more just those things were on my mind for this fight. But I would be fighting a couple of days later, so mainly I just didn't want to have any injuries, and it'd be great if I could finish the fight kind of fast. But I like fighting at Tepesit. It's just up the road from the gym, so it's close to home instead of a long drive. And there's familiarity there. Like, you see the same faces over and over again. The gamblers know me. And there was actually a woman in the audience who was currently at Sityodong Gym, who follows my page. So I got to meet her after the fight as well, which was cool to meet people who have been following me online, and then you get to meet them in person, and they're doing their own Muay Thai journey at a gym nearby. So this is when I normally notice how big my opponent is when we go to the center of the ring like that. And this guy's name is Gaw, who's working my corner. I don't believe I've ever had him in my corner prior to this fight, but he's at the gym all the time. He lives at the chicken farm out in the back of the gym. I've had this referee before. He's made some very funny faces in some of the photos that get snapped by the photographer you can see in the corner there. It's Tom Brown, Muay Thai action photography. So with her size, she was trying to make distance by teeping a little bit and punching a little bit, but she really wasn't committing to those strikes. So I felt pretty early on that she couldn't really hurt me. And so I was more comfortable just staying in range, my range, which, because she's so big, cuts off quite a few of her options. But she kind of initiated that first clinch, which I think she regretted pretty soon after. She was not strong up top, so I was able to turn her pretty easily. But I felt like I was pretty well zoned in this fight. Like, I felt like I was focused on the things that I wanted to do, and that I was kind of flowing well. I like the distance that I'm keeping with her. I have a tendency sometimes to create space as a way to defend myself, and it does not help. So here it's mostly my striking range and then collapsing into the clinch. I'm not staying outside too much, which is good to see. And I've had a hard time with that wall of China, which I did not have a hard time with on her there. I think she didn't push her hips in hard enough. But I've been working on that with Pinu and with some of the kids that I train with, trying to make my response to that quicker. So I'm happy to see that. So that was a quick first round. This kid who's working my corner and that kid working my corner, I see them every day. They fight pretty often at the same stadium. Well, the one in the blue shirt does. The one with the pink towel is having his second fight in probably 8 months coming up. But it's cool to have these kids that I train with working my corner. It's a little bit of grunt work, but it's nice to have that team around me. So going into round 2, usually these girls have been told by their corners that they need to come after me a little bit, and she's definitely kicking more. She teeped me right as I was coming in and totally put me on my butt right there. But it's somewhere between a really well-timed teep and a slip. You can see our size difference there. She even looks big compared to the ref. It's kind of amazing. But here says I was checking kicks pretty well, but when I would catch her kick, she really had no answer. Like, she had good balance to stay up, but she didn't have any kind of like pull in or trying to grab my head or anything like that, which allowed me to strike on top of it. But turning in the clinch and bouncing right there, this was definitely showing my advantages in the clinch, so that's why I'm able to fight people so much bigger than me, is strength in the clinch there. I think if I were an outside fighter, I think it would be harder to go against larger people. But, oh, that was a nice turn. That was awesome. I don't get to do that in training very much. The boys that I train with are very well balanced. Sometimes I can do it to Pinu when we're doing pad work, but it's nice when things come together in fights. You fail at things all the time in training, like nothing works, and then they work in a fight, which is pretty exciting because then you just build on it. So here I think she's starting to get worn out by the clinching. My hopping is definitely very tiring for the girls. I've noticed it, the guys that I train with. If I grab them around the waist and start hopping, they get really tired really fast, which in training I do to be a jerk, but in fights it definitely puts it in the bank for the next round. So here you can see that guy telling me just to clinch. It's a universal signal for just grab her head and clinch. Whenever they're like toweling off your gloves in your face before the round starts, I'm always like, don't wipe the Vaseline off my face. I like I'm throwing the towel right at the camera though. There, the patented Sylvie backwards clinch. She's really starting to throw those kicks now. Like, she's putting more effort into them, but with her hips back like that, she's not actually getting as much power as it looks. It's amazing that my knee was longer than hers, given our size difference there, but I think, again, that's the hips. So here, now that I'm keeping the same distance throughout the fight, I think that even just standing that close is starting to wear her out more, stresses her. So now these small turns are able to turn her down all the way to the floor. Long jab. Yeah, so she's starting to not even answer as much in the clinch. I think that's just fatigue and feeling a little bit overwhelmed. Those knees are all landing. Starting to get my, like, tanking in, stalking. I should be closing that distance faster to really take the breath out of her. But here I've just got her head pinned. She's tough though, you can see how mad she is. She wants to hit me back there. And then when I get standing 8 counts, I've needed to work on how I come back in. And I think that this one was one of my better ones. Sometimes I come in too slow, sometimes I do this really weird power walking thing. But that one I think was a pretty good pace. And then that's it. She's not really able to fight back, and she's getting a little overwhelmed. So I succeeded in the things that I was trying to do in this fight. I was happy to be able to do that because of Pinu putting me in against someone bigger, and I was happy to be able to show that in front of Ying, who hasn't seen me in so long. There she is. I don't know what she's doing with the photos or the footage that she took. She has this very long project of when she was filming Crew Nat and me. I've changed so much since she first initially started filming me, so it's kind of interesting to see all that.